Peace and love and blessings. Hope that everybody is doing well today. Today we're going to talk about one of the greatest things that I've learned. One thing that I feel that everybody can benefit from. And that is to be a gold digger. Now, what do you mean? Right? You got to be a gold digger. You have to go within the deep depths of yourself. The darkest, the nastiest, the scariest. You have to go into those shadows and excavate and pull out the precious stones and gems, the gold. Talking about the process of shadow work. If we want to progress in life, we must face ourselves. That's one of the main points of being here, is to face yourself. A lot of us are running and hiding from certain aspects of ourselves that other people may not know about. We may feel shame about, guilty. Those are the aspects of yourself that we have to actually face. And to be honest with you, I've never done anything more terrifying than look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? That metaphysical mirror, where you actually have to look at those things and not just look at them, but talk to them and get to the root of them. So terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. But at the other side, wealth, true wealth, a wealth of wisdom that you will surprise yourself with. Like, wow, like I know that, I have this ability, this is who I am under the surface of the things I've been hiding from. One of the greatest powers is childlike imagination. And the way that this situation usually goes, sometime when you were a child, in your adolescence, you began to experience things that didn't feel good, things that may have been traumatic. Those things fundamentally shaped you, fundamentally changed the way that you interact with anything. And then certain experiences over the course of your adolescence and maturation would become triggering for that trauma, or you would experience certain things that would then pull back up that thing that fundamentally hurt you in the first place. So then as you continue to mature, you develop skills in order to cope with, or to get around, or to hide from, to bury those triggers and the root situation. So that now here you are as an adult, young adult, living your life as this character that you've created that doesn't have the experience of those triggers or that root trauma. And you're living life, you know what I'm saying? You may even be living a pretty cool life, you know, based off of social standards. But there's something within you that is unfulfilled. There's something that you still desire. You don't feel happy. Well, my guy, you've cut off a whole section of your true self. That inner child of yours is very important. That inner child of yours holds the energy that allows you to imagine and envision and to connect with that which is spiritual. And when we allow the things that we have gone through to cut us off to that aspect of ourselves, of course we're not experiencing joy, right? So it becomes important to engage in shadow work as early as possible. The more you allow that hidden aspect of yourself to get heavy and to allow that heaviness to accumulate, the more work needs to be done in order for you to experience the joy that you desire, right? So the heavier that aspect of yourself gets, the greater the tension on your spirit to release that heaviness becomes. You don't want to walk around heavy. Come on, bro. What's going on here? You don't want to walk around heavy. So this is where you want to become a gold digger, right? Because when you go into the depths of these shadows and you begin to pull out the gems, all of the noise and the distortion and other people's emotions and the projections and the things that don't matter fall off because you've received the lesson that you needed to learn from whatever the situation was. There are some very heinous things that happen, some very dark things that I don't even have to express and that we're all aware of in actuality. And those things are horrible, man. Like, I don't have to say these things to you all, but it's important for us to be able to take whatever experiences that we have had and gain something from it. Because if we don't, then you just sit with the weight. I don't know about y'all, but I would much rather go through the pain of gaining something from my past experiences than going through the pain of carrying the weight of all of it. Pain and suffering is a part of life. It's a part of the growth process. But it's up to us to choose what type of pain we want to endure. And only one of those two options lead to the experience of joy and fulfillment. The other just leaves that deep and heavy void within your spirit. So you actually have to go into your shadow and pull out the gold. Number one thing that I'll recommend anybody to do is therapy. Go get counseling. That changed my whole reality, you know what I'm saying? That changed my whole situation. Preferably someone that looks like you. Not even preferably, I would say that's the only time that I personally would say that it's valuable. If you are a black and brown person, I don't think anybody else would be equipped to truly create that space for you to go deeper and feel safe to do that, to feel supported through that process. So number one, counseling. Number two thing that I'm gonna recommend anybody to do is journal about these things. My favorite thing to do in terms of shadow work, like if I got something that's really bothering me, something that has really struck me deep, whether those were things that happened in my childhood or things that have happened more recently, the greatest thing that I have found, bro, like I will write a letter to that person, or I will write a letter to myself about that situation. Really getting everything that I wouldn't say out loud, everything that I wouldn't say or that I feel uncomfortable saying to that person, or that I feel uncomfortable saying about that situation, I'll write it down. And then I get rid of the letter. I release it. It's a physical, it's a tactile expression of me doing shadow work, and that really helps me, right? So in terms of like going deep and like actually doing like an excavation process, those are the two things that I would recommend. But as far as like a maintenance type of thing, like how do you maintain a balance? How do you create a system of being able to pull wisdom from situations that bother you or trigger you? Well, to me, having a journaling practice. And this could be written journaling. I really like speaking. Even as YouTube is, you know, a higher expression of documentation, self-documentation. Another thing that really helps me personally is to be able to talk to people, but particularly as a man, to be able to talk to a black woman, unmatched. I know how to do these things by myself. And I know how to take care of my emotions and all these things, but life is still stressful. Like it don't stop being stressful. It don't stop being work. I feel like a lot of times we don't have the space in our day-to-day relationships to really talk about deeper things. Everybody want to stay on the surface. Everybody want to talk about the superficial things, you know, what celebrity doing what, or, you know, whatever else. And I'm not talking about you gotta disconnect and do something other than what you want to do, because, you know, to each their own. But, you know, me personally, I like depth of conversation, and it helps me like really materialize and actualize and apply the new wisdom that I've gained from the process of doing shadow work for myself. Because ultimately the only reason that you would want to do shadow work or become a better person is to experience a better life. And for a lot of people, I would assume that that better life includes another person, a partner, children maybe, a home, travel, more money. But how is it that you're going to interact with people on a higher level? How is it that you're going to align with these better opportunities, with these higher vibrational lifestyles, if you're still holding so much weight? At some point, we have to release. At some point, we have to allow ourselves to grieve. At some point, we have to allow ourselves to be soft and vulnerable And to do that without shame, guilt, and feeling like somebody is judging you. Can you imagine like the actual physical scenario of like going into it, like you know that there is like riches in this cave. I'm talking about everything that you ever wanted is in this cave somewhere. But the cave is dark, it's terrifying. You really don't know what else is in there. But you know that number one, you won't die. And that number two, if you stay the course, you will gain what it is that you seek. How would that process make you feel? Like, would you go into that cave? It took me a minute to go into that cave, but I went in there though, and I'm still, working my way to the back, you know what I'm saying? Because the thing about the thing about shadow work is really what you're talking about is you're tapping into the infiniteness of your soul, the infinite expanse of your soul. You're talking about the African unconscious mind where all of our generational wealth, all of our generational inheritance, and where all of our generational traumas lie. If we can go into the African unconscious with the intention of revealing and bringing back out into our conscious life the wealth and the gems and the wisdom, you will do that. That is what your ancestors want you to do. That is what God wants you to do. How are you supposed to live your testimony if you never actually take the time to go into the dark and see what your testimony is about? How can you truly give it all to God if you don't even know what it is? God knows your heart, but he can't help you unless you know your heart, unless you express your heart as it is. God, I went through these things, and these things really hurt me. These things really affected me. These things make me feel heavy every day. That person really betrayed me, the people that I never thought would do anything like that. And sometimes I feel like this world is so evil and so dark. And sometimes I just don't know what to do. Sometimes I feel like I can't do anything. I need you to help me. I need you to take this weight away so that I can be whole, so that I can be full of you. You know what I'm saying? That is what it takes. Like I said, my recommendation would be for someone to go to counseling, for someone to write letters to themselves or others or about situations. Develop a journaling practice where you deliberately take into account when you were triggered, why you were triggered, and what that comes from. And then to have people, to find the people in your life that you can really talk real shit with. You know what I'm talking about? Like those people. You may have to go out and meet new people to find that, but it may be people, that you already know. I'm hoping that everybody follows their heart during this process and take the dive, you know what I'm saying? Just take the leap of faith and see what happens. Just try it out. Get past that friction point of going into those shadows and that darkness and just see what happens when you stay there for a while and you actually allow yourself to look and see and to feel. I promise you'll learn something. But with that said, I'm wishing everybody a productive process in whichever way that you begin it. I'm wishing everybody ease and more lightness. I'm just praying for everybody's deeper connection with themselves and the wisdom that lies within, because you have it. I say, if you can give me a like and a subscribe and a share and a comment, I would appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? If you find this content valuable, let me know. Show me some. You know what I'm saying? Peace and love.